Alright, so in this video I'm going to be looking at static electricity just to make it a bit clearer to some persons if you are having a problem with the PowerPoint. So static electricity is the buildup of charges on an object or a body. So we can have any object at all, and we can create a charge on that body. But where do charges come from? Here we see that charges are a natural characteristic of matter. Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. So you know that you have solids, liquids, and gases. These are the most common forms of matter. Now, all matter consists of very small particles. Particles include atoms, ions, and molecules. Alright? So when you hear of the word particles, we're talking about either atoms, ions, or molecules. What is an atom? An atom is said to be the smallest part of matter that constitutes a chemical element. Now, most of you, or all of you, should have done some amount of chemistry, and you will have heard about the term elements. So when we say elements, we are talking about like oxygen, carbon, gold, mercury. So these are the stuff that makes up matter as we know it. Now, an atom consists of even smaller particles. These particles are protons, neutrons, and electrons. So these are what we call the subatomic particles. Alright? Now, protons are positively charged, neutrons are uncharged or neutral, while electrons are negatively charged. Now, protons and neutrons are held together by strong forces in a region of the atom called the nucleus. So they cannot really move by normal means. Okay? Electrons now are held in orbit around the nucleus because the nucleus is positive, containing the protons. The electrons are negative, so the electrons are attracted to the nucleus. So they keep moving around the nucleus. Some of them can be detached. So this is a model of the carbon atom, where we see the green dots represent protons, black dots represent neutrons, and the red dots represent electrons. So if we count, we can see that we have 6 electrons and also 6 protons and 6 neutrons. Now, the protons and the electrons have opposite signs in terms of their charge. One is positive and one is negative. However, these charges are of the same size. Charge is measured in a unit called coulombs, represented by a capital C, and the charge on an electron or a proton is real small, and that's 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19 coulombs. So very, very small. Now, because it's so small, it's more convenient that we use relative terms. So we use positive 1 for the proton, negative 1 for the electrons. Alright, because it is the same size, just this sign that is different. Now, what is the charge of an atom? An atom would generally have a charge of 0. So why is that so? We look here, we can see that there is an equal number of positive and negative charges. So the positive and negative charges, once they are equal in amount, they will cancel each other out. So if we look at the carbon atom as an example, where we had 6 protons, 6 electrons. Each proton has a charge of positive 1. Each electron has a charge of negative 1. So we end up with a total of 6 positive charges and 6 negative charges. And when you add those, you would get a charge of 0. So the charge on any atom is 0. Alright, so how does an object become charged? Since we already see that atoms are uncharged, so how does an object become charged? For that to happen, there must be an unequal number of positive and negative charges. So if we look at this example here, see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive charges and 7 negative charges. So you have more negative charges than positive, and so this object would be negatively charged. While over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positive charges, but 5 negative charges. So overall this object would be positively charged. Right? So a negatively charged object has more negative charges than positive charges, while a positively charged object has more positive charges than negative charges. So in order to charge an object, we have 3 ways of doing that. Right? So if we want to create a buildup of charges on an object, we can either use friction, and that is rubbing 2 objects together. Conduction. In this case, we allow a charged object to touch an uncharged one. And induction, where no touching occurs, but we use a charged object to induce charge in an uncharged one. So that's it. Next time we look at how these processes are done.